Hey everyone, and welcome to this video. We will be exploring how to build something called guided learning. In other words, an on-screen experience for our Power BI solutions that help users get familiar with the report. So let's get into it. Okay, so on screen we have the retail analysis solution, and what you're seeing now is the home screen. We have three buttons here that navigate to the relevant page, and we also have guided learning. But just a quick overview. If I select retail overview, of course, it will direct us to the retail overview page. Now, let's go back to the home page. Instead, let's go ahead and select something called guided learning. And as soon as I select guided learning, you see that we get this on-screen experience that is designed to help the end users understand and navigate the report. How good is that? So instantly you get some information, so some welcome information, the core objective. Ideally, you should have a core objective in your solution. And also a bit of an explanation of what guided learning is. So this tutorial will guide you through the report. To exit, select X at any time. Use left and right arrows to navigate through the experience. So if I select the X up here, the experience ends. If I enable guided learning again and we click the right arrow, see what we get. We now have the experience start. So we have a prompt that pops up here and says, hey, this is the homepage navigation. It gives a bit of a description. And you can now see we have a left arrow to go to the previous step, or we got a right arrow to go to the next step. And you get this helpful progress bar here at the bottom so the end user can identify how many more steps in the guided learning experience there is. Of course, they can always click the little X to exit the guided learning. So let's continue. We're going to go to next step. And notice it takes you through to the summary page. It says, hey, you have these helpful navigation buttons up here. And then it gives a bit of a description. Notice the progress bar has now filled up. And if we go to the next step once again, it says this is your slicer panel. It allows you to filter the various elements of the report. Again, I'm going to go to the next step. And now notice it's calling out some of our KPIs. So in other words, the guided learning experience shouldn't only be about if you click here, you can filter. If you hover here, a tooltip will pop up. No. Think about the story that's embedded within the report, and I have explained this in other videos. Think about the story. Use guided learning, use this on-screen experience, these on-screen prompts, call them whatever you want to call them in your organization. Use them to direct the attention to the right place. For me, the KPI section really tells me this. Are we on track to achieving our goal objective, overcoming a challenge? For that reason, I always incorporate guided learning for KPIs. And look at this. This one's interactive. So this card shows sales and year-on-year percentage change. One of the KPIs to track if we're on track for our objective, right? As of now, sales are at 173,000, down minus 8.7% year on year. Dig into what could be causing this. So you can see we're making it a little bit actionable by adding that narrative. Dig into what could be causing this. Make sure to understand why are we down here. And like I said, this is dynamic, right? It changes. So if I go to the next step, you can see that we're also down on average transaction value. So it would still say you are, as of now, ATV is at 291, down minus 2.5 year on year. Dig into what could be causing this. But notice here now, the text is different, right? It says as of now, UPT is at 2.46% or 2.46, up 5.5%. And we're doing this by using the text box and a bit of DAX to get the relevant values that we want to display on the text. So we'll go through that. But anyway, you can see going through this experience, it continues, the progress bar continues to fill out as well. Also notice, by the way, how everything is grayed out and we have a strong border on the elements where we want the end users to focus in on. Again, it just makes the experience a lot more intuitive and clean, I believe. So then if I go all the way to the end, and that's the final one, it finishes there, right? So now let's move out of the Power BI service and see how we achieve this within Power BI Desktop. We are now in Power BI Desktop. So let's go through the step-by-step process on how we build out the guided learning experience. And I guess the first question on everyone's mind is probably, how do we actually build it? What do we use? Well, this all comes to life through bookmarks. So if I select guided learning, this is the first step in that guided learning process. I want you to think of it as the first step. If I click on go to next, this is the second step in the guided learning process. And of course, if I click go to next step again, what you're seeing on screen is the third step in that guided learning experience process. And there's a reason I'm calling them steps, right? So let me now exit this and let me go back to the home page. I want to close this down as well. And let's have a look at the bookmarks and let's have a look at the selection panel. So when you're building a similar experience for your solutions, you're gonna have to use the selection panel as well as the bookmarks panel as well. So you'll notice here in bookmarks, well, we have step 1 to step 10. These are the steps that make up that guided learning experience. For example, if I select step 1, this is what we have. If I select step 2, this is what we have. If the end user selects go to next step, it will take them to step 3. If the user selects go to previous step, it will take them to step 2. So in order for us to build this out, we're going to start off with step 1. In other words, what are all the elements we need to put on the canvas to have step 1? Let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to close these panels down for now. I am going to exit that experience. And to really bring this demo to life, we're going to right click on Home, Duplicate. And let me just call this Demo for now. So just so we're all aligned, this is the demo one, and this is the home page, the original, right? So as you're building out this experience, you have a different solution. Ask yourself, what do I want to see on screen, right? So in my instance, I might say, well, I want when the users enter the guided learning experience, I want them to see a grayed out background. That way it's super clear to them that they're in the experience now. So I'm going to put, it's just a rectangle shape, fill is gray, and I'm going to make it maybe a transparent 8. There you go, because I still want to see the background, right? Okay, that's good. We're getting there, right? The other thing I'd like to see is a good introduction. So what's this report about? Who's it built for maybe? A introduction to the guided learning experience. So what I could do, I could simply go to shapes. I could go to rounded rectangle, right? So this will basically be the background, whoops. This will be the background where we add the text, right? So I could go to shapes. Let's make the rounded a 10. We'll make the fill color white. We can add maybe a bit of a shadow here as well, just to make it stand out a little bit more. And as you can see, I'm trying to put it into its place somewhere there. I'm happy. Now, what I could do, I could go ahead and just add some text on top, as we have here in the original one. But notice, I've actually got a bit of a header section on the top with a gradient color, and then the text below in the header section. How have I achieved this in Power BI? Well, let's go back to the demo version. Let's delete this shape. And one thing I like to use frequently are images, right? So these are the images we will be using for this demo or this guided learning experience. I will also show you a way to do it without images, right? But for now, I've got this box large. There you go. And for the scaling, I am going to put it to fit. I'm going to roughly there. Expand on it. I'm not going to worry too much about formatting everyone, right? With more time, of course, you can align everything to be perfect. But look at that. To me, that looks a lot better already. So now we need to add some text. As step one in this guided learning experience, I would like my users maybe to have a bit of a welcome message, the objective of the report, and also an introduction to this experience. So rather than retype everything, right, I'm just going to copy and paste it from there. Okay, so there we have it. It's already starting to look like what we have in the original version. A few other things I might copy over. Well, the first one is just the title as well. Bring it over. There we go. Okay, whoops. By the way, the title is behind the image, right? So I'm going to simply go to selection, title box, and that's why I love the selection panel as well. It allows you to easily order everything. Okay, we're getting there. But there's two core pieces missing from step one in the guided learning experience tool. What are they? It's the next button in order to go to step two, and also the exit button because maybe the end user says, actually, I don't want to go through the guided learning experience. I just want to get to the report. So we can go to, let me click off, we can go to insert, buttons, and blank. Let's add the blank. I'll drag it here so it's a little bit more easily to see. And we're going to go to format. And look, you can build it with all the formatting options you have here. I've used images. Again, I'll show you a way to do it without images. But for now, the state should be default for this one. If you don't know about states, I'd highly recommend you check them out. It helps you build solutions that really help users understand if something is interactive or not, or clickable or not. So I'm going to go to icons, custom, because I'm bringing in an image. And I'm going to go to browse. And then once I'm on browse, here are my buttons. So right default, that's the one I'm looking for. Okay. I'm happy with that. Put it somewhere down here. Perfect. Now, if someone hovers over it, I'd like you maybe to change colors. So I'm going to go to on hover, and then I will change this one to, as you would imagine, right hover as well. There you go. Doesn't work. The reason being, don't think it was always like this. You just have to enable action, right? And of course, apply the bookmark, but we'll get to that afterwards. There you go. It now changes color. Now, the last one, I am going to copy paste this. Why repeat the same steps if you can save some clicks, right? And then the default, it will be exit, right? I want the little X to appear, and when a user hovers over it, I want them also to see the blue version. Lovely. Okay. And again, you don't have to use images. You can just use the icons and the shapes available within Power BI, right? So I have created them here in PowerPoint. I save them, I import them in, okay? So with that said, we have all the elements needed for step one in the process. So what do we do now? Okay, let's go to bookmarks and selection panel. I like having these open at the same time. Now, highlight everything for step one as I have highlighted it here in the selection panel. Right click on it and group them together. Now, of course, notice I already have these groupings here, right? Because I just copied this from the actual solution. But let's go ahead with it. Let's call it demo because it's the demo version. Guided learning, GL. Home because we're on the home page. And I'm going to call it step one. So now you can see if I hide it, we go back to the actual report experience, let's say. If I enable it, this is step one in the guided learning experience. So hopefully you can see the way we should build this out. So that's step one. I'm going to go ahead and hide it. Now, what will be the next best thing users should see as part of this guided learning experience? What would be insightful for them? Well, in this example, we're going to maybe call out what these buttons do here. So, again, I am going to go ahead and use a rounded rectangle because I want to create a border around the buttons which the annotation box will be referencing. So I'm going to go to, let's close these panels down, it gets very busy. Let's make the rounded corners maybe a 10, yep. We're going to remove the fill. We are going to maybe make this a yellow so it's really obvious. Maybe make the borders a 10 again. By the way, I'm not going to focus on formatting here, making it look really clean and good. I want to just simply show you how you build this experience yourselves, right? Because this is what we're now trying to build out, what you're seeing on screen, right? So we're going to go here now and let's add the gray backgrounds, right? So again, we're going to go to shapes. Whoops, that's the wrong one. We're going to go to just a standard rectangle. There we go. And notice how I achieve this look, right? Because I want those buttons to be the only thing not grayed out. So if you have a better way to do this, let me know. But this is the best way to do it as of now. So I'm going to go ahead and make these maybe an 8 again. By the way, I am going to go ahead and remove the borders. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing, right? Put this all the way down. Again, not focused on making sure everything is aligned. I don't want to spend too much time on that. This is just to show you how you can go ahead and create your own guided learning experience, right? Amazing. Okay, and now I am going to click on the border, let's say, and I am going to go to selection and I'm going to bring it to the top, right? So you can see the look that we are going for, everyone. Okay. Now, with more time, the gaps here, you'd want to clean them up a little bit in order to get this look. And when you publish it to the Power BI service, it looks a lot nicer as well. Now, the only thing remaining is this text box and of course the prompt behind it and the buttons as well for navigating to the previous step and the forward step. So to do that, again, you could use just a standard shape and a text overlay. However, for me, I am going to go to images and I have a box ready. There you go. And once again, these are through PowerPoint. As I mentioned, all you have to do is just create a few things, align them, save them. As you can see, right click, save as, and they're ready to be imported into Power BI. So now that I have this here, again, no need to repeat all the steps. I am just going to copy the text, bring it over as well, and I am going to copy this text box also and bring it over as well. And then the last ones I'm going to copy is the following. 1, remove the action from there for a moment, and 2. Okay. Again, I could create these, but why repeat the same steps over and over? Okay, there you go. Now, the only thing really missing here, and by the way, they have gone to the back, so if I just quickly go to bring these above, naturally, as you would expect, and then bring that to the top as well, and that to the top as well. Lovely. Okay. One thing that we don't have here, though, whoops, is the progress bar. So let's get a progress bar together. All that is a shape, right? So I'm going to bring a shape in here. There we go. I did make rounded corners 100, I believe. Yeah, there you are. Okay, and the fill could maybe be a light grey. Let's get rid of the border. Okay, and now all you have to do is copy that one, overlap it, and make it another color instead. Reduce it down. Also, the height, reduce, that's the max it can go. There, lovely. Again, with a bit of formatting, you can make this look real good. So we're going to copy this one here, and that will be the back button. So button style, default, icon, and now I'm going to put left. And on hover, I want that to also be left blue. Lovely. Okay, so I now have all the elements I need for step 2, as you can see on screen, everyone. Again, if I go here, this is the actual version. You can see the progress bar looks a lot more clean, professional. With more time, you just align it, choose the right colors, and it will look like this. Okay, now, as we did for step 1, select all the elements that make up step 2 of the guided learning experience, right click and group them. And use the same naming convention, right? So I'm going to use the same naming convention as previously. So demo, guided learning, home, step 2. And hide it. So this is the default homepage. Users here can simply select retail overview, basket analysis, and it will direct them to the right page, nice and easy. However, if they select guided learning, what we want them to see first is this. If they then go ahead and select go to the next step, we'd want them to see this, right? So, how do we do that? Well, we need to create bookmarks. So you can see already I have these bookmarks here. It brings up step 1, it brings up step 2. Let's just replicate these from scratch. So let's exit that. Let's add, because we're going to create 2 bookmarks of step 1, step 2. We are going to call this a demo, right? It's a demo bookmark. We're going to call it guided learning home step 1. And you'll see, by the way, the importance of the naming conventions in a moment. I'm also going to go ahead and just rename this now as well, because I know what we're going to use this for. Step 2. Really, really important, everyone. Make sure data is off or unchecked and selected visuals. I have a separate video on the details of bookmarks, but for now, please go ahead and do that. Now, what we want to do here is, well, we want to capture, right? We want to capture the elements that make step 1 and save them into this bookmark, and the elements, on-screen elements that make up step 2 and capture them in step 2 as well, right? So if I go back to demo home, here we are, you will notice that I have step 1, step 2, the bookmarks we just created. If I click them, well, they don't do anything, right? But that's fine. It's because we haven't saved a snapshot or the current view into each one. So if I go back into demo, right? And by the way, if I click this, it directs you back there because when I created it, I was on that homepage, which is fine. Now, these are the 2 that we created here, demo step 1 and demo step 2. I'm going to go ahead and unhide that. So this is step 1, everyone, right? So in reality, I would not have these 2 here, right? I would not have these 2 here. These have been copied from here. I just want to make that clear. So just to really bring this to life, I am going to delete that. I am going to delete that, right? So let's say I want to save what you're seeing on screen now as step one. Well, let's select 1 and 2. Everything else from the home page should be grouped together as home elements or whatever else. Step 1, step 2, and I'm going to go to step 1, update. Then I'm going to hide step 1 and show step 2, select them both, go to step 2 in the process and update. Okay? So let's see what happens. Step 1, and remember we're in the demo still, right? Step 1, and you can see step 1 is visible. Step 2, step 1 is now hidden, step 2 is made visible, right? That's how we will be building out this entire guided learning experience. Now you're probably also thinking, okay, but what if an end user selects the little X up here? What have you done, right? Well, that's this one here. So let's build it together. Demo, guided learning, home, exit, right? So what does that mean? Well, firstly, data unchecked, selected visuals selected, and I'm gonna hide these two and have this one selected. There you go. And update here. So now if I select step 1, if I select step 2, and now if the user selected the exit guided learning experience, it would exit that guided learning experience as well. Let's bring it more to life now. Okay, so this is the guided learning button here. We are in the demo solution. We are going to collapse the bookmarks and the selections. We are going to go to format and actions. Bookmarks, bookmark, name, and this is why it's so important to have a strong naming convention, by the way, right? So notice down here, this is our demo step 1. There you go. So if someone clicks guided learning on the home page, this is what they will see. If they now go to the next step in the experience, well, I want bookmark and I want step 2. Let's try it out. Step 2. There you go, right? Let's say now they want to exit this. Well, actions, bookmark, and this is the original, but we created one for this demo. Demo guided learning home exit. They can exit this guided learning experience and just go back to the report view as well. So hopefully you're starting to see how we build this out. Now, I will add one more additional step here, right? So when the users select guided learning, they select go to the next step, and then here now, what do we have? We have step 3, but this is from the original. Let's maybe go ahead and see how we can build this as well. So I am going to go to the overview page, right? Again, this is the actual page. Let me zoom out just for a moment, and I want to show you how we can do that again. So duplicate, this is only the demo one. There we go, overview. And let's say we want to maybe create one for the top panel here, right? So again, as we did before, insert shapes. You get the idea, so we're going to put all the relevant shapes in the right place, something like this. There we are. And then we're going to add another shape, possibly up here, as so. And then afterwards, I want to add another shape, right? But this one, like I said earlier, will be the background yellow, border 9, and let's make this, I think, a 9 rounded edge, we said, to align with the other ones. Anyway, I'm not focused on formatting. And you can see what we're doing here now, right? You can really see what we're doing here. Okay, bring that up as well. highlight these two, make them the same grey, make it an 8. I believe we had, oops, that there is the border, that's the wrong one. Make it a grey, transparency is 8, and afterwards, of course, add some additional ones for the top parts here. Make sure you align them so they look good as well, right? And then if I select this one and I go to the selection panel, I will bring this shape to the top so it just looks a lot cleaner as well, right? So you can see the gray background looks like one piece already. Yep. Again, with more time, you can better align it. But now the only other thing I need to do, I need to bring in an image. So I'm going to bring this image in this time. There we go. And we can add text. So again, I'm not going to go and type all that out, but I could simply just take it from the existing one instead, just so you can see what we're doing here. So I can take this, there we go, copy that, go into our demo version, and over here you will also add the buttons as well, right? You have to add the buttons in there. Now, where's that gone? It's one of these, I believe. Text box, there you are. Bring it to the top. Lovely. Now, you'd add the title, the progress bar, the back button, the next button, and you have all your elements. Again, group these up and then call it the same thing. So it's demo, it's guided learning, it's overview page, it's step 3. Okay? It's step 3. Really important. So we go now to the selection panel as well. Notice, so that we have the selection, the bookmarks, demo, guide, learn, overview, step 3. These are the ones that we created together. We want to create a third step now. Demo, guided learning, overview, step 3. And there you have it. Whoops, just a bit of a typo there. Guide, learn, overview, step 3. So now, if we go back to our demo, and I click on this button here, and we go to Format, Action, we'll go to step 3. So if I click this, there you go. It takes us to step 3. So that's how we build out this experience, right? 2 things may be worth calling out. If I go to next, over here, you will notice I've used a text box, and within the actual text box as well, I've actually used some measures, right? So I'm calling out the sales value. I've also created a bit of DAX to say whether it's up or down, just to make this a little bit more dynamic. And also, I've added minus 8.7, and everything else in there should be dynamic as well. I have removed it, but dig into what could be causing this. If it's negative, it would read this. If it's positive, it would read something else. So all very possible here as well. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and exit this experience now. Now, one last thing I want to show before finishing up, other options. You might not want to use any images, and that's fine, right? These are 2 boxes that I've created, and these use 0 images, right? So of course, just need to play around with the states there, and you can see same down here as well. Okay. So hopefully you found that helpful, everyone. Hopefully you can see with a little bit of time, you can build these guided learning experiences as well. A few other examples maybe. If I go to to this example here, I can simply select the help icon, and notice this is a much easier one as well. A lot less effort to actually put this together, but the insights provided to the end users is really helpful. Of course, you can make it even more simple as well. If you select the eye icon, you just get a dialog box that gives some core information to the end users. If you have any questions on how to build this or anything else, please do feel free to reach out.